We are all here today to witness the potential fuck up of a 4-year project. Yes. Let's see. Let's try maybe positioning this there. I mean, you can sort of see what's going on. That's why you're here. Yep. So, I'm in the process of making the dams for this, and it's gonna be a little bit of a different process because I've got shit in the way for both of them. I can't really come in with a like the UV resin, which I've got here, the Green Stuff World UV resin. Only mildly screw something up. Yeah, no, I mean, it's very possible that this is just the end of this project. You know, I'm mildly nervous that it's going to go all south. You know, as these things do. Alright, let's make sure that this is actually going to stick. Did a resin pour on my Dracon and did screw it up completely on one side. The barrier half melted. Oh no! That's not good. Okay. So, no, I mean, what can potentially happen is there could be a break. This is foam. So here, let me position this so that you can see a little better what I'm doing. Salvaged it with a wad of painter's tape there, but it ain't right looking. Yeah, no, I hear you there. That's part of the problem, is that when this stuff goes, it really does go. You know, one of the biggest things that I'm worried about is the resin wicking into the snowflock and destroying the snowflock. And that's not something I can control. So I'm doing this a little backwards. And this is sort of the dangerous part here. Hey, Necromancer! Let's see, where is it? Up to there. So I do want this to flow a little bit. Maybe not that much. Probably should have put the tape on there first. Okay, I'm gonna cure this. Doesn't look like it's gonna make it through that. But what I can do, I think I'm here, but not sure. Signal is terrible here. Hi and bye. Wanted to wish you well on the pour. Hey, Lamines. Thank you, Deb. Alright. So I need to... What I'm looking for here is a full seal all the way around. Because if there's an area that doesn't seal, it'll mean that it leaks. And that is not something that we want. So this is obviously a sacrificial brush. But it's a way for me to get a little bit more of this UV cure resin onto the edge. And again, what I'm looking to see is I want to see that seal tears be damned. Yeah. I want to see this seal show up all the way around. It comes in, I think, at like 9:30 in the morning. Luminous. Alright, I'm beginning to smell the curing resin, which is good. I just want to make sure that this is all completely cured. So this will set up the dam. Now I've got a little bit more area on this side that's not sealed yet. And remember that you can keep this stuff, you can very easily clean up the edge with like a knife or a little bit of sandpaper. What you can't clean up is a massive resin spill. After the gin. I was gonna go pick Jan up. Was gonna ask about sealing the edges with UV resin, and they're doing a two-part resin for the main pour. I'm also a little worried about the two-part. Yeah, so that's exactly what this is. We'll mess with the resin of a 3D printed mini. Hey, AC Miniatures, how you doing, buddy? So yeah, we are on to the struggles with the resin. So this side is pretty good. I'm going to be extra careful here and add more tape. So I want to make sure that this does not come loose, or it'll be a total disaster. But once again, you know, having the UV cure resin all the way around here, I can see... Let's see if I can zoom in. So you can see that I've got a good seal. And it's a seal that's all the way around. I can see it on the plastic. I know that that's sealed. The challenge is going to be this side. I'm not going to be able to come in. Let's see, is this one big enough? Yes. Is it the same height? Yes. Okay, so basically the same deal here. Make sure I've got good adhesion with the tape. I'm going to add another piece of tape to the other side this time so that I'm ready. Try to learn from my mistakes. And I'm going to take a look at where I want the resin to go to. So it's about there. And about there. Okay. And then I want to do this pretty quickly. So it doesn't have too much time to flow. Gonna let it sit for a minute, just so it has a chance to really wick into that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and try to cure this. Now hopefully this will cure through the plastic. I can smell it. It is actually curing. I don't know how quickly it's curing, but it's curing. Oh, shit. There, that's a little better. You can actually see what I'm doing. So I can see over here, I've got a little bit of, and this is a good way to test to see if it's hardened. If you push, you shouldn't see any movement in the sort of wicked material. So again, I'm going to go in with a brush. And I'm just going to add a little bit more to this side over here because it didn't completely fill in. And again, let that sort of wick in. And let it cure. So now I know I've got a solid dam on both sides. That should be thoroughly adhered to this plastic. Alright, so dams are now set, we think. We hope, anyway. So we'll know when the pour actually gets moving. Okay, so one of the things that is very important with this is it's important to mix more than you need, right? Unless you've got a very large pour. It's very easy to mess up the ratio when you have a very small amount of material. Your A and B has to be exactly the same by volume. So I advocate mixing more. Oh, and speaking of which, I need actually a third cup. Mixing more material than you actually need. So Necromancer, that, like bending around a corner like this, I use just clear acrylic. So, and then these will just go in and square up like that. So it's much better to use 2 pieces of plastic than it is to bend 1 piece around. You get a much cleaner, nicer edge by doing it that way. Alright, so I'm going to fill to the... I don't know if you can see this or not. You can't really see it, but there's solo cups, and I'm gonna fill right up to the top of this O here on both of these. So, and this is Envirotex Light. It's yellowed a little bit. It's a little old, but it stays good. And the yellowing will actually be good for the project for this, because I want the river to appear dirty. Come on. Alright, there we go. Kitchen scale is a handy tool here if you're nervous about exacting amounts. A kitchen scale actually doesn't work with this. These are 1-to-1 by volume, not 1-to-1 or some measurement by weight. So you want to be extremely... Oh, shit. You want to be careful about what material. 50-50. Wow, I've always used it. Guess I've gotten lucky. Yeah. Because the A and B often don't weigh the same. Yeah. But yeah, so if it's 50-50 by weight, then yes, a kitchen scale is the way to go. I have one. If it's 50-50 by volume, then you want to make sure that you do a similar measurement. And that's one of the reasons why I'm mixing so much, right? There's more here than I'm going to use by a significant margin. There's going to be waste. But that's okay. So the next trick, you measure into both cups, and then you pour both together. Realizing I don't have a mixing stick handy to grab one there. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape some of the material out. Also, this way you don't contaminate the cups. And this is another argument for making sure that you mix enough, because a large volume can handle a little bit of a incorrect mixture. A small volume, I know I said this before, but a small volume can't. You know, a small volume will get terribly fucked up by a little bit of a measurement problem, whereas a large volume will be just fine. That's pretty good. I got most of it out. I've got a little bit left in both cups, so I'm going to go ahead and mix this. And you unfortunately introduce bubbles, no matter what you do in this process. But mixing relatively slow... Yeah, right, Terrea? Mixing relatively slow introduces fewer bubbles. And what I'm looking to do is I'm paying attention to the resin here. You can sort of see traces. I mean, you can't see shit because my hand's in the way. When it's not mixed thoroughly, you can see traces of both types of the different types of resin. They actually have a different refraction rate, so you can see these refraction lines in the resin. You want to make sure you mix it until you can't see those. Katie Lou! Resin pour today, that's what we're doing. And by picking up and lowering like this, it'll help you homogenize the mixture from the top to the bottom as well, just in case there isn't a even pour between the two of them. You know, that's one of the reasons why I mix material from 2 cups into 1 cup. It sort of gets about 50% mixture from the top all the way to the bottom. So I'm still seeing traces in there, so it's still not mixed all the way. Another thing that I'm feeling for is any type of heat in the cup, because that's going to indicate that the reaction is starting, and I don't want to feel that. If I feel that, basically I have to start over, because I've got stuff I want to do with colors and the like. I want to make some muddy water and some other stuff. Alright, we're getting pretty good now. No, I'm still seeing it. Still not thoroughly mixed. Scraping the sides of the cup is also a good idea. Get any unmixed resin off of the sides of the cup, and that may be where these refraction traces are showing up. Okay, so that's pretty good. You want to make sure to set your mixing stick in a place that's relatively clear of stuff. I'm going to measure out some of this material. And this is going to allow me to mix multiple colors. From the same pour. So instead of doing multiple layers, at different times, I'm going to do the same resin pour with multiple colors and just flow them together. Also, by running this, you can't really see, but I've got about 6 to 8 inches that I'm pouring the resin down. It helps remove a lot of the bubbles. So there's still a lot of bubbles left in the resin. But by pouring it from this height, it does reduce a bunch of the bubbles. I wish I could do this so that you can actually see. Okay. So there's not much left in the cup, which is good. There's a little bit left in the cup, but I'm not overly worried about that. Alright, so now I need to add a little bit of paint. Let's see, I don't want raw sienna. I want raw umber. Well, so this is yellow ochre. This will work. Hey, Mo's Magic. So this is a little bit of the transparent. It's yellow iron oxide. I'm going to literally add 2 drops. That's it. You don't want to, and it's extremely easy to, overdo the amount of paint that you add to these. Might just do yellow iron oxide and a little bit of black here. No, there it is. Okay. So this is brown iron oxide, so I'll do another one with just brown iron oxide. Just 2 drops. And then the last one, I'm going to do a drop of brown iron oxide and a drop of black. Alright, so now these are going to get mixed up. I'm going to go from light to dark. Now you'll note, in this case it was... I may need to add just a little bit more. But it's important to start with only a little bit and not overdo it, right? Good. It's still not warm. Because it's really, really easy to overdo any tinting that you add to the resin. Another nice thing about this, the Envirotex Light, is it's a two-part acrylic resin. It's not an epoxy resin. If it were an epoxy resin, you'd want to use a alcohol-based ink or something along those lines. All right, now that actually came out. I mean, you can see the difference pretty clearly between the three of them. So it was correct. 2 drops is the correct amount. Okay, set this aside. Now I need to grab like a piece of plastic or something. This is just a piece of plastic card that I had lying around. And all I'm doing is I'm making like a pouring funnel. That's not good. All right. Hey, Mo's Magic. Or did I already say hi? I don't remember. I'm focusing more on what I'm doing here. So this is just... Mr. Altair, hey! And I'm not worried. It's getting a little bit on the clear resin splash bits that I did. That's not a problem. It'll wind up running down. It'll run off of that well enough that it won't be a problem. flowing this way? Yes. That's the lightest. I want the next darkest. So I'm working to try to keep it from falling off of the other side. I probably should have made this funnel a little bit more angled. But right now it's working alright. Alright, I'm going to have to wait a little bit. That may be all that I put in here. We're getting really close to the top of the resin dam on the far side there. And I do not want an overflow. Okay. So that's it. All right. And for the most part, it's not touching the snow anywhere, which is good. And I'm just going to pay attention to this a little bit here. I don't want to move the figure at all at this point. I don't want to influence, because it's slightly tilted from towards the back. And that's why I stopped where I did. It looks like the bubbles are working their way up nicely. It's a little darker underneath the tail, which is what I wanted. That's why I went with a darker paint and then the lighter stuff. Yeah, it's starting to warm up now. I'm starting to feel some heat, which is good. It's a good indicator that it's going to mix. So, oh, well, you can't really see. So this side, you can see that there's about a 16th, maybe 3/64ths of a little bit of a lip. On the far side, the resin's right up to the very top edge of this. So what that's going to do, especially Envirotex Light and a lot of two-part acrylic resins and two-part epoxy resins wind up getting a meniscus. They wind up wicking up the edges a little bit. So in this case, what's going to end up happening is I'll get a little bit of a lip here, which I'm going to have to trim off. But on that side, where the resin is right flush with the top of the dam, it'll stay square. I won't have to do anything to the back side of it, which is nice. You know, and it's one of these. This is one of the times where you do want to spend the time just sitting here and watching this for probably 10, maybe 15 minutes. You want to pay attention to what's going on. You don't want to walk away and then come back and find that you had a leak and all of a sudden everything is all over the table. Your pour is trashed, your figure's trashed. It can be a real problem. Javasuko, hey. So, and you can sort of see some of the bubbles coming up, like right in between the fingers of the arm there. Also back here. And you can see how close I am to the very top of the edge there, at the very edge of the tail. So another thing that'll end up happening, and I know they say that you do this with a torch or whatever else, just a little bit of warm air will also pop bubbles. It's the CO2 in your breath that'll pop the bubbles. So I'm going to let it sit for a little while. Because they're not popping yet. So the other thing that's going to wind up happening here is maybe tomorrow, but probably when I'm at Adepticon, I'm going to wind up adding gloss gel texture to all the water. So it starts out as a completely flat surface, which is great, but then I want to make sure that it looks like flowing water, which is going to prove challenging, obviously, with the figure in the way. But what I'll probably do is just dedicate a brush to it, and the brush will wind up getting trashed in the process. And I'll just brush it on and add, so that'll wind up coming in to, like, you know, the areas in here and sort of blending in the splashes and stuff. It'll also help where you can sort of see a line at the bottom where the edges of the sort of splash material is. So that'll help mask that, because it'll wind up adding a lot of refraction and stuff to the surface. It won't be perfectly clear anymore. You know, you'll still see a hint of the rocks and stuff from the bed of the river, but it won't be anywhere near as pronounced. So alright, I need to check the far side, which is going to necessitate getting up and looking. Alright, so there's a little bit of a meniscus on the back side, but I'd rather go with a little bit of a meniscus at this point and just trim it down with a razor than have it overflow. Because once it overflows, it'll keep pulling the water or the resin material over the dam. So you want to stop shy, and you want to err on the side of stopping well before the dam, as opposed to running the risk of going over top of it. Because if you go over top of it, you're done. So yeah, it's not quite ready yet to have the bubbles pop. Limp Bizkit easy listening cover band name. Nice. And I don't know, you probably can't see it in the camera, but it's much clearer up here. And the darker stuff that I added to the back all flowed mostly to the back, so it actually looks like he's stirring up a little bit of mud. And that was the goal. That's why I had multiple colors. Because I wanted to make sure that it looked muddier behind him and clearer, because the water, at least as I see it, is flowing in that direction. You can't see my finger. It's flowing from this area to the back. But this is looking pretty good. You know, and hopefully I'll have enough time at Adepticon to finish up the wings a little bit. There's some messy spots on the wings that I sort of rushed. I want to go ahead and go in and clean those up a little bit. You know, it was supposed to have a quiver and some arrows and stuff, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that. I wound up losing 2 days because my back was so messed up. So, shouldn't I have done this already? Yes. Yeah, this was supposed to be done like 2, maybe 3 days ago. But, I threw my back out really badly, and I've basically been bedridden the past 2 days. So, I'm going to add a little bit more tape to this. It's making me a little nervous. Yeah, and it was... I threw it out by adjusting the sheet on the bed, of all stupid things. You know, it seems like it's always the stupid shit that gets you. You know, it also helps that it's a little cool here today. You don't want it super cold, but it's like 50 or so degrees, maybe 60 degrees in the garage at the moment. So, the fact that it's relatively cool... Let's see if I can bring this in. Does that help at all? Yeah, you can sort of see... It's very clear. You can see some of the bubbles there in the back. There we go. Like right along the base of the tail and stuff like that. So if those don't pop, that won't be too much of an issue. Because again, I'll be able to hide that with the clear acrylic gel. But yeah, I've been laid up for the past 2 days. I'm still actually in a fair amount of pain. I went to the chiropractor today, but you know, they were able to sort of put me back together again a little bit, but I'll tell you what, it's still painful. So, here, let's see about... getting under there. But yeah, so, I mean, that's a resin pour. You know, unfortunately, or fortunately, at this point... Hey, Amberton, yeah, actually, I'm close to finishing up at this point. It doesn't take very long to do this, and then the biggest part is walking away for 2, maybe 3 hours, and coming back and checking it after you've done that, right? You want to leave it alone. You don't want to have a bunch of dust. You want it to be clean, which thankfully it is. I mean, which is kind of funny when you think about all the dusty shit that I do in here, but the air is actually very clean. Everything is settled out for the most part, so... But yeah, to answer your question, Amberton, yes, the chiropractor helped my back. It still hurts quite a bit, unfortunately, but... and it probably will for the next week or two, with how badly I tweaked it. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely starting to warm up. So it's starting to kick over. And it's good. I'm not seeing any, like, additional little bubbles popping up or anything, which would indicate a leak. So this is looking pretty good. Yes, I'm going to have very minimally painted Moonstone. Moonstone is going to get painted tomorrow. By tomorrow morning, this will be dry enough or cured enough that I'll be able to move the model. And then I'll be able to... The game plan for Moonstone is to prime it, airbrush it really quick, and then do some quick washes. Nothing... You know, I mean, I've got 7 or 8 models to finish. You know, maybe do a little bit of color blocking and then a quick wash. You know, go back to sort of the army painting stuff. And it's a pain in the ass to build. That's unfortunate, pun expected. That it's a pain in the ass to build. Yeah, I'll be streaming. I may as well. You know, I'll be here tomorrow, so I may as well just go ahead and stream it. You know, it's, I'll also be able to, I'll stream the undamming process, which will happen tomorrow. But yeah, overall, I mean, that's it, right? So the biggest thing is being very thorough with the prep work. In this case, it was making sure that the base of it is extremely well sealed. Let's go ahead and zoom out. You know, so, I mean, you can't really see it there. And it is supposed to be a relatively subtle part of the whole process. But, you know, in person it'll definitely be, it should be pretty impactful. So... yeah, so, thanks for hanging out. You know, I know this is a short stream. It's only about an hour long, but this is one of those things where, like I said, you basically... am I using the extra resin? Nope. Nope. You know, the size of the Envirotex light by Poron, I don't know if this still has the price on it. It's a 32-ounce kit. I think it's about 20 bucks for a 32-ounce kit. And I'm wasting about... I mean, these are 2-ounce cups, right? So I'm wasting like 4 ounces or 6 ounces. I did see a ruined base, Katie Lou. I did. Yeah. Sorry. You know, it's... You can see the difference in how much paint I added. It was literally just 2 drops to the paint, or to the resin. You really don't want to add a lot of paint. It's very, very easy to overdo it. Yeah, I used to do that, but, I mean, and I may still do that at some point in the future. Upload, some stuff. It's paint. So it is, golden transparent paint is what I use this time. Although in the past I've used, you know, like scale color will also work as long as it's acrylic resin and acrylic paint. If it's a 2-part epoxy resin, you want to use alcohol ink. You do not want to use acrylic. So, and that's one of the things that this Envirotex light stuff, it's one of the reasons why I like using it, is because it's a 2-part acrylic resin. The problem with acrylic is that it tends to yellow over time. I mean, epoxies will yellow over time as well, but before it vanished, did it already vanish? Oh, sorry. UV resin and alcohol inks, yes. So if you want to tint UV resin, also alcohol inks. Yep. Not acrylic. Acrylic will mess it up. It probably... I haven't played with it. It's one of those things where I really ought to play with it so I can answer the question, but I imagine it probably interrupts the ability of the resin to cure. And you don't want that. Obviously, you don't want to have uncured resin with your stuff. So, alright, let's see. I'm going to send you guys off to somebody else. Once again, thanks for hanging out. You know, like I said, I know it's a very short stream, but my dumb self tried to speed things up with acrylic and heavy gloss gel medium. Yeah, it's, yeah, Javasuka, see you later this week. And Katie Lou as well. So, sure thing, Sanjin. Yeah, I'm very happy to share this stuff. You know, I don't think that knowledge like this should be gatekept. So, yeah, and hopefully everything will be, moving forward tomorrow. I will definitely stream some tomorrow. So, does anybody have a preference as to who we raid? We got, quite a few people on. I mean, a lot of people on. Wow. Let's do, let's raid Dr. Rhino. Maybe next year. Yeah, it'd be nice to see you, Amberton. What is it? How is Dr. Rhino spelled? It's just Dr. Rhino. Alright, so we'll bounce over to Dr. Rhino real quick. And, uh-oh. I might have misspelled it. Hold on. D-R... How do you spell it? Is it R-I-N-O? R-H-I-N-O dash. Dr. RHINO underscore. Let's try that one. Technical difficulties play. There we go. That's more like it. It's better when you actually spell the guy's name correctly, right? So, alrighty, folks. Once again, thank you. And if I don't see you tomorrow, hopefully I see you at Adepticon.